But as many servants as are under the yoke count their own masters worthy of all honor, that the name of God and his doctrine be not blasphemed. And they that have believing masters, let them not despise them, because they are brethren, but rather do them service, because they are faithful and beloved, partakers of the benefit. These things teach and exhort. If any man teach otherwise, and consent not to wholesome words, even the words of our Lord Jesus Christ, and to the doctrine which is according to godliness, he is proud, knowing nothing, but going about questions and strifes of words, whereupon or whereof cometh envy, strife, railings, evil surmisings, perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds, and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness. From such withdraw thyself. But godliness with contentment is great gain. All those verses to get to verse 6, but godliness with contentment is great gain.
Amen.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I just pray that you give me the words to say, that you could use me this morning, that you might have your will and your way, Lord, that hearts would be convicted, mine, and Lord, that we would learn and grow this morning. Lord, that you would be blessed and you be glorified. Thank you, Lord, for your truth, that it is the truth, and that you're the one true God, Creator, who knows us. In this place, we know it, Lord, and we thank you for that. Now help us to please glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. I want us to look back at 5 and 6 there for a moment. At the end of 5 it says, supposing that gain is godliness. And then in 6, godliness with contentment, great gain. Notice how they're reversed in verse 5. That somehow gain comes before godliness. Now that's the selfish part of us, or the old nature. That's what we look to first. What can we gain? What can I get? But notice verse 6 says, no, you should start with God. And godliness. Godliness means partly not just knowing who God is, but following who God is and what he wants us to be doing. Then contentment can be had, and then great gain. Gain's at the end. God has no intention of not blessing us. He wants to bless us. But if we want the blessing first before we follow, then what kind of a relationship is that where we put God at the end? He needs to be first all the time. And not just on Sunday when we get here. I'm talking about when you wake up tomorrow morning, and when I get up, that he comes first. Not just in your prayers, not just in your conversation, but in your decisions as you go through that morning, that day. He needs to be in your lives. He needs to be in my life. No matter how repetitive or mundane your morning might be, or even if it's just slow and boring, he needs to be there. So what is it that we're looking for? Well, partly the Lord wants us to be content, does he not?
Yeah.
Doesn't he? Doesn't God want us to have peace in our life? Because part of the fruit of the Spirit is that peace that he wants us to have. So contentment and peace, they're akin to each other, you might say. So what is content or contentment? Why? I was looking it up last night, and it says basically self-satisfaction. A resting or satisfaction of mind without restlessness.
Yeah.
It's a point of rest, but the root word content means civility or civil. When we think of words like that, sometimes I think we can't touch what that is. I mean, we know what civil generally means to get along. But this is getting along with God, not necessarily getting along with each other. I mean, to be at rest and content with the Lord. You can't be content with other folks if you're not content with them. You just can't. So what is contentment for? It's to keep us in check. Peace comes after contentment, not before. So what do we do with contentment? Well, it's something that is a choice. You can either be content with what's going on in your life, or you can be discontent.
Right.
You get to choose. I choose.
Yeah.
So God puts that right in front of our face. Which one are you going to do? Now first he says godliness, right? So that means he's got to be first, and then we've got to be following him first, and then he intends for us to next choose to be content with what he's doing. I think that's the hard part right there.
Yeah.
What if it's not something you like that he's doing, like chipping away at something in your life, or my life? Or he's chipping a little too hard and too much, and you feel like you're losing too much weight too fast. Of course, I could, oh, there's some chipping to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we need that. We need God to be chipping away at us. But we need to not take it as being disgruntled or upset or cranky or any of those things that withhold the next step of that peace that comes.
Right.
I mean, I want peace, but how many times do I get my own way and peace is not there?
Right.
Because of that choice of being content in between. Sometimes I also think, especially the world, the way they see us, I'm talking about the way they see Christians, not what they call Christendom. Christians that actually love each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's confusing to them that we can be content even in distress.
That's right.
Because they just can't quite understand why we're not upset. That's the point, is we help show them that God loves us so much that we can be at rest in distress. We can be at peace, we can be content. You know, Paul didn't write these things on accident. God didn't have him accidentally write, you need to be content.
Right.
And then he also used Paul in different situations, like going to prison. Not to be rude, I'm just saying, he wants you to be content wherever you're at, whether you're at the center,
Exactly.
or if you're living in a cave. You know, I remember one time on TV, this guy got promoted to living in a cave. He had previously lived outdoors. He thought living in a cave was excellent. He had the right frame of mind, though.
Right.
He knew that was a good place to be, out of the elements, protected. Got it right. That's what God wants us to do, get it right. But we have to, the first step again is godliness. So that's important, godliness. How do you get started with godliness? First you got to get saved, right? You know, so many people in the world skip right over that. AA and NA, they have the little disclaimers along the way where they just kind of don't get you to God. Because the disclaimers make sure you don't. So you can't get there through those things. I'm not saying that because you guys are here. I'm just saying that because I remember reading that the other day on this guy's wall at an auction house. And I thought about that. I thought, gosh, if they hadn't put the disclaimers in, they could have led him right to God. And things could have been so much better. But that's what Satan wants. He does not want you to be content. He wants you to be trapped.
Yeah.
See, like alcoholism, a little side note, you quit drinking, you're not an alcoholic. You quit doing drugs, you're not a drug addict. When you stop doing a sin and you're following God, you're not who you used to be.
Right. Sure.
When God saves somebody, cleans them up, makes them a new creature, you can be free in that because He says you're free.
Amen.
So be free.
Yeah.
So when we're living free, He wants us also to be content. But, on the way, trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
Now, how is contentment going to happen? That's when you need it the most. It's when things are at their worst, or what we think is the worst, it's not the worst. Is anybody in here sitting in hell? No. That's the worst. And I guess you could say it could get a little worse because that gets cast in like the fire. The point is, we haven't seen the worst, so we have a real opportunity to curb that back to being content. And we can also help other folks avoid that whole thing and show them in adversity, in their horribleness, in their mountains, that things can be okay.
Yeah.
It can be okay. So what destroys contentment? Well, one thing, covetousness. Isn't it interesting how that comes up all the time? Covetousness, covet. Well, because we're really good at doing that in our old nature. That old nature just loves having other people's stuff in our mind. Or, my car, I wish I just had a better car.
Yeah.
Well, does your car get you to and fro? See, it's like the cave thing. If you had a real junker, and then you look at what you got, you go, wow, I like my car. See, if we misperceive things, and instead of looking at what God has given us and being thankful,
Amen.
that he doesn't have to give us one thing. He owes us zero.
That's right.
But see, He gives us grace, mercy, He loves us, He does wonderful things for us.
Amen.
So when He chooses out these different gifts for us, as He's growing us, by the way, as He's growing us, He gives us these different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where we're supposed to be thankful. Not looking to what we haven't got, but looking to what He's done so graciously and what He's given us. Nobody in this room is doing all that bad. It's in a third world country. Remember the guy in the cave I just said? By the way, he didn't have anything else but the cave, but he was pretty content.
Yes.
So it's not about stuff. And covetousness is about stuff.
It is.
But it's also about other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Because you don't have it. It's previous to you having it, right? But you want it, or I want it. And covetous also, it has to do with being an insatiableness.
Yeah. Right.
It isn't just about wanting someone's stuff, it's about the want,
Yeah.
not the getting. Because as soon as you get it, you want something else again
Right.
and again. So you get trapped in that part where you just can't get the satisfaction. It's not enough. It won't work. See, selfishness cannot be satisfied. It doesn't work. It can be eliminated. That is to say, when you get saved, the Lord can destroy the old man and get rid of it. You don't have to be selfish. I don't have to, because that's also a choice. So covetousness. Turn over to Exodus 20:17 for a moment. Of course, it's, talking about coveting. And you've seen this probably many, many times. Exodus chapter 20. Because the Lord's telling us point blank, or telling Israel point blank, what to do and what not to do. 2017. It's obviously very familiar. It says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor." Get your mind on your own stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Why are we even looking to the neighbor's things anyhow? At all?
Right.
Notice, this is not a comprehensive list. This is just enough to get your blood boiling. Now think about the person, think about the husband over here and his wife and his stuff, and you got the neighbor looking at your stuff. Of course, you don't know what he's thinking, but you wonder why he's got that weird look on his face. You want your car, your boat, your house, all your stuff. Why? Why do we need all that? You don't.
Exactly.
You ever notice how many people, like if you go to Oregon, there are fifth wheels, pull-along trailers, motor homes. They love to play and buy stuff, and most of them are parked in storage.
Yeah.
Year in and year out. Because a lot of times they buy it, go out for a week, and keep it for 10 years because they got the payments.
Yeah.
But they can never arrange to get out for another week again because they're too busy making payments for 10 years.
That's it.
Now, there's nothing wrong with having those things and enjoying those things. I mean, God can bless you in many ways. You can have things. But if it gets between you and God, all idolatry comes in.
Yeah.
So your covetousness now comes into idolatry. Not a good thing. And what happens when we do idolatry? We immediately bring God down in our mind, put the idolatry up here.
Yeah.
Bad move.
Yeah.
No, the Bible says, "Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength." That doesn't mean once.
Yeah.
It means you intend to continue.
Right.
Loving God is a continuous thing. It's something you have to on purpose do. You can't just say, "I love you," and somehow that just means forever.
Sure.
It's decision by decision. So covetousness is a really nasty thing. It really gets in the way. It's deceptive, debasing. But it comes straight out of our heart.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
No.
You know, it's one thing to say the old nature has it that desperately wicked, deceitful above all things hard. It's one thing to look at that and say, "Yes, I know." It's another to exercise that to where that muscle is the strongest thing in your body.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. And by the way, you know the things that God gives us? Cheryl pointed this out last night. And again this morning. Those are gifts. God gives us gifts.
Yeah.
To snub God and say, hey, your gift isn't enough for me.
Right.
What a rude thing to say to God.
Yeah.
See, we don't really look at ourselves in a holistic fashion, or our whole self. In all our entirety, and all the thoughts we've had, and all the prayers we've prayed, and all the choices we've made, we don't keep track of all that. He does. What I mean is he's watching the whole thing because he's trying to fix all those little things, like I said a few minutes ago, chipping away. He's working on the whole us, and we're over here only concentrating on the things we don't have right now.
Yeah.
Or maybe we are concentrating on him and trying to glorify him, and getting our face and our focus on him. That's where we're wanting.
Yeah.
But these things, boy, they look neat. People really dress them up. They go to great lengths to accessorize things to make them look wonderful, that we might want them, and want them greatly. The problem with covetousness, though, is it's not just insatiable. You want things unjustly. We want things wrongly.
Right.
We don't get that far. We think wanting something's okay. But is it? See, we don't look at ourselves the way God sees us. Is that what we really need to have in our lives right now? When we want something that we really don't need to help us, by the way, we're here to glorify God, not to have a great time.
Yeah.
We're not here for ourselves. We're here for Him. So, because we're here for Him, He designs things and brings things into our lives, and He's working us and molding us and shaping us and growing us if we'll let Him. If we'll let Him. But when we get in the way with these thoughts of being covetous, you don't think you're not covetous until you're covetous. Don't you see, we as Christians, we walk around sometimes thinking we don't do these things. Well, who does it? Not just the world. We're not perfect. What I mean is, if we try to run our lives on our own, mistake. We have to have God's help all day long, every day, for your whole life.
Yeah.
Edith, late 80s. She knows this for her whole life. You have to do that. Turn over to Mark chapter 7, please, for a moment. Oh, by the way, covetousness is unlawful. And whose law is that? God. See, sometimes I think we get to live in this physical world so much, we only think about the physical laws, criminal, civil laws. No, God says it's unlawful. Wanting things wrongly goes against Him.
Yeah.
So over to Mark, chapter 7, 21 and 22. Almost there. These pages are very thin. Chapter 7, Mark 7, 21 and 22. It says, "For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, and evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man." Now obviously when you get saved, Lord cleans us up. But you can slip back and do these things. I can slip back and do these things.
Yeah.
So, Paul, you get over to Paul, and he warns us against these things. God's also warning us over here in Mark, through Mark. It is so common in a blessed country like ours. It's so right there to be had. This covetousness can be right there so often. The Lord has blessed us so wonderfully in this country. Look at what we're doing with it as a country. I don't mean as you individuals in this room, because I don't know each person. But I can see the whole country, as a country, we're slapping God in the face with what He's given us. We could sit here and list all the blessings that He's given us just with this country alone. And then He's added on top of that, country after country after country that we've helped over these decades and last couple of centuries. And yes, They've done a lot of wrong things also with some of those countries. But there's also been good. God has blessed us tremendously. But now we are slipping so far the other way, and I believe covetousness is a real big part of that. See, people don't just covet stuff. They covet lifestyles. I wish I could have your lifestyle, or I wish I could have yours, or yours. The way people live is not on accident. You see, one person might be so destroyed with their life the way it is that they will want an extreme other life. Why do you think some women go to other women? Because they're so upset with the fact that men are so repulsive to them by that point, and so, not just annoying, just they hate it. So they go extremely the other way, say, well, maybe I'll try women. That's a horrible thing. So it isn't just things, it's the way we think about what we want and things that are wrong and unlawful we do it against God. Against God. But go back to verse 21. It says, for from within, out of the heart. Back to that deceitful heart. It's all in there.
Yeah.
So if we know it's in there, why do we let that stuff get back out? Don't let it out. We have the unique opportunity to display what it means to be a Christian in this life, to glorify God, that other people might be loved through us, and they might get to be not just loved, but be fixed. Their life can get fixed. Things can get changed in their life because of God.
Amen.
What a privilege to get to do that.
Amen.
Why would we ever thwart that or get in the way of that or inhibit that by any means at all? Don't want to be a stumbling block. Now I'll turn over back over to 1 Timothy, where we read moments ago in chapter 6. We're going to read back to chapter 6. We're going to go on through verse 10. Because there's more going on there. I like the way God writes. Back to verse 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. God first, contentment, and then He will give you success. Great gain isn't money.
No.
You know where we really need to gain is here, spiritually.
Amen. Yeah.
That's way better than anything that you could possibly think to get to have. Think about this for a moment. Let's say you had the really best car ever made. The most wonderful house in the world. 318 rooms. 27 bathrooms.
Oh, no.
That's a big plumbing bill. So you got all this stuff. You got yourself a chef. You've got these servants. You got this wonderful life. Guess what? However you spend your time, you can only eat one meal at a time.
Right.
That takes time. You can only ride in your car so long. That takes time. And while you're in your car, you can't see your house. And so while you're driving along, you can't not just see your house. You can't be in your house. That's 27 bathrooms. You can't enjoy all that. And when you're in one bathroom, you can't enjoy the other 26. So what is all that? It's just we're trying to lavish ourselves as if that makes it all better somehow. It doesn't get it. There's a cutoff here is what I'm saying. You get so much, and there's still a cutoff. No matter how much is in front of you, you can't enjoy all of it.
That's right.
That's all in our head.
Yeah.
That's the misperception of this. That's why covetousness is so destructive. It just keeps getting worse and worse, and you go further away from God, and you also destroy friendships and relationships with it. Especially the one that we have with God. See, God says, oh, that's toward the end. Okay, so back to this. 6 through 10. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. What a trade.
Yeah. Bad.
You know, the Bible says to put on the full armor of God so you can quench all the fiery darts.
Yeah, they are.
He's throwing darts.
Yeah.
Remember Saul was throwing a javelin at David? And then David played the harp for him anyway? And it was soothing, they could feel better? I think about that sometimes. That's like a physical picture of how Satan throws darts at you unprovoked. David didn't do things to hurt Saul. Saul and Saul's mind.
Yeah.
See, Saul coveted David,
Mhm.
David's reputation,
Yeah.
because of all the Philistines David had killed. And they were all bragging on David instead of Saul. Didn't like that.
Right.
But and also, you remember this, David was anointed king way many years before he actually sat as king.
Yeah.
See, sometimes whoever's in place doesn't have enough sense to move on over. What I mean by that is, when you get out of the will of God, you are in the way of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So get back in His will. That is to say, the next decision, follow God. The next decision, keep following God. So let's look back at this. Verse 7. For we brought nothing into this world. We sure act like we brought it. I mean, sometimes, you know. And it is certain we can carry nothing out. Wake up. This physical world's going to, it begins and ends. We start with nothing. We end with nothing. That is to say of what we've done and what we've attained and all those things. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's all about God. It's not even about us. It's about Him. Get our minds back on Him, not the stuff. And look at verse 8. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. Stop right there. You know how wonderful it is to get to eat? You ever seen starving people? You know, when they have to feed those folks, sometimes they have to feed them very slowly because they can't eat like you would. It doesn't work like that. When you get to a certain point of starvation, your body cannot handle it like it used to. We don't think like that. See, when we're fat and sassy, we don't worry about this. That's over there. Someone's feeding them. Someone's taking care of them. Now, I don't mean to become a total liberal and all of us should run around the world feeding every child that we come across. You've got to have some sense and listen to God for your life and what He wants you to do each day, all day. That's too many people jump on bandwagons and get lost in the bandwagon. It happens all the time with all kinds of things. There's nothing wrong with helping, but without God's leadership, you won't do it right. So, it says, having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. See that period? That's actually a stop.
Yeah.
Stop right there. God's doing a wonderful thing. Oh, is that all He's given me? Food and clothes? Hey, when you don't have food and clothes, this looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And the reason He stops right there, I believe, is because He's got the rest all taken care of if you let Him.
Amen.
You don't have to focus on that other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I know I keep repeating this over and over and over. Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, because that's the life.
Yeah.
It always ties back into that. That's why I think He says, stop right there. I got work for you to do. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to clothe you. Get out and love somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll take care of the rest. Oh no, I'll be irresponsible if I don't handle all those things. I didn't say don't pay your bills. He will handle how you get that done. But you got to keep things in priority. Keep it in the right order. God first, God first, God first. But you have to let Him lead you in your every decision, because your priorities will go like this. And some of them will come way down on the list, and some will go way in the closet. See, every one of us has a life. And you have many circumstances over your life. And sometimes you have lifelong things because of decisions we've made. We have lifelong attachments or situations we have to deal with.
Yeah.
But that's not too big for God.
No.
It's too big for us, but not too big for Him. So look at the next part. Verse 9. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare. There's a warning right there.
Yeah.
See, most folks that get rich also get into Problem City. And into many foolish and hurtful lusts which drown men in destruction and perdition. Drown. See, rich to one person might be 10 grand, another 100 grand, another 10 billion. What's that guy's name? Ted Turner. He says if he gets down to 1 billion or 2 billion. If he gets down to 2 billion, he's broke.
Yeah.
Boy, is he messed up in this thing. Well, that anybody could be like that. Our mind gets twisted without God. I knew this one guy, and he kind of had it right in a way. So when you get down to $1,000 in his bank account, you would try to call that zero. He was trying to keep a buffer in there. But that's not a bad thing. It's not bad. But without God, it wouldn't matter if it's 1,000 or 100,000.
Right.
Because you don't know what you need in the future, only He does.
Yeah.
You don't know how far in the hole you can go until you're in it. See what it says here? Till you're drowning. I've almost drowned a few times in my life. The Lord was trying to wake me up.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how He'll take you to a situation, or let's say, you got yourself in a situation, B, and you don't know those moments that are going to happen. You don't even see them coming.
Right.
In 1 second, or maybe half a second, you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
One time I was sitting on the end of a boat, a flat boat, barge, and we were out picking up old cables. Some of them were connected to buoys, and some were not. Anyway, we had this one buoy, and I was just pulling the cable, rolling it up into the barge, and it was no problem, real simple. Didn't weigh much. It was probably maybe only 75 feet long. Well, all of a sudden, when I got toward the end, for some reason, it got real hard. We weren't moving. We were stationary. I didn't really understand what was happening, except the cable jerked, caught me around right across the top of my foot. Cable went in the water, I went in the water, and the cable was pulling me down. About 30 feet down, the cable was still on my foot, and I couldn't get it off my foot. It wasn't just the weight. It was just the way it was across my foot. I couldn't take it off of my other foot. A diver went in the water immediately. I didn't even know he was in the water. I was too concerned with the cable. And all of a sudden, the Lord just took it off my foot. I was drowning.
Yeah.
Just like it says right here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think you're in it till you're in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And God was not to blame. I was. You say, why is that situation so bad? Because the Lord was trying to tell me to go home. Not home to my mom and dad's house, to Him. At that time, I was smarter than anybody, I guess. I was 18. 18 going on 12.
Yeah.
But the point is the Lord, He knows these things ahead of time. He's trying to help us. Will we accept His help? That's what He wants. To accept, not reject. So, and that, like I said, there were 6 different times. Never saw it coming every time. Same job. Boy, what a night. In a year and a half, 6 different times. That's what happens when you excuse what God is trying to do. You push it back, put it in the closet like I was saying a minute ago. Don't worry about it. Put it over with the priorities you don't care about right now. You can't do that. You have to wake up to what God is doing. When He's convicting your heart, it isn't just about hearing it. It's about following Him from that. We could sit here all day and talk about the Lord and all the wonderful things, but it comes down to accept or reject, do something about it. Let Him come into your life and run your life. No matter how long you've been a Christian, the next decision needs to be for Him. So look at it again. It says, which drown men, into verse 9, drown men in destruction and perdition. That's pretty far. You ever seen a building brought down with dynamite? You know how They'll blow it up without too much damage outwardly. It's pretty amazing what they can do, what the Lord has showed them to do. That's the kind of destruction, the way it comes piling up on you. And when you're on the bottom floor, the whole thing just comes down on top of you. And you're in the middle of destruction. And you don't know what to do to get out. So what do most people do to get out? They run to a friend, not to God, or what they think is their friend. When we're running from God, we don't go straight to God or to God's people, because we know then, call on the carpet, really have to do something like follow God again. It's amazing how he does that. So, let's finish up here. First off, go ahead and turn over to 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8, please. I'm going to say one more thing while you're turning there. Covetousness is not just a bad thing. The Bible refers to it as idolatry.
Yeah.
Remember what I said? God comes first. Idolatry means we put that in front of God.
Yeah.
That's what idolatry is about. And you know, anytime we do that, whether it's something physical or mental, when we put things in front of God, it becomes idolatry. God will not put up with idolatry. God will not be moved. You know, we sing that, but do we actually believe it? Because in our lives sometimes, we tend to try to move Him, even though He's not movable. But in our misperception, we think we have. Can't do that. Look at 2 Corinthians 9:8. And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that He, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. Boy, there's a whole bunch in that verse, isn't there? All grace abound? Toward who? Us. I told you, God wants to help us. He wants to bless us. But He needs to be glorified in those things. Not just here, have this, I hope you have a great day. It's not that. It's so that He can be glorified.
Mm-hmm.
You know, many things that were given are to be given to someone else, not to be kept. Especially when you have 6 or 7 or 10 of them. You know, that's something I've been working on for the last few years, hopefully. That as I gain things, multiple things, look for opportunities for someone else to have one. Instead of me just having multiple things. You know, my neighbors are like that too. Give away multiple things that they might be giving away to someone else that could use them. All grace abound toward you. All grace abound toward you. What more could we want than His grace?
That's right.
That ye always having all sufficiency in all things. That's where we get stuck. We don't think we have sufficient anything. I need a better car, I need a better house, I need better this, better that. Really? Do we really need all those things? Or do we just want all those things? All sufficiency. See, part of being content, being at contentment with God, then peace comes. It means that sufficiency has come. Everything's okay. We have turned the word sufficient into a kind of a low-key word of almost enough. It's sufficient. You know, that's what Satan does with a lot of words. He puts a negative connotation with it so that you get used to it being wrongly used, and then you almost don't even like the word anymore. He's smart about that. Completely foolish, but very smart about it. He is quite the adversary. And then he says, here's the best part of the verse, really. That it may abound to every good work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about us having stuff. It's about that good work. It's about someone being loved and being fixed and changed. That's what it's about. Have you ever noticed when you eat, you got to do it again? When you drink water, you gotta have some more. It's very repetitive. Those are learning tools. It helps us know that people need things over and over and over.
Yeah.
It helps us to understand that we need to be ready over and over and over to help people with needs. That's why he says with all sufficiency in every good work. It doesn't end with just here, oh, you're sufficient. Let's keep going. You remember, if you despise your brother, you despise God.
Right.
If you hate your brother, you hate God. Every good work, if you're loving your neighbor, you're loving God. That's what he wants. He wants people to be loved. He says, take that word too, love, as if that's hollow. Because the world misuses it, misrepresents it, twists it, ruins it. That's who God is. God is love. I can't even hardly comprehend what that actually means in its entirety, obviously. But that's who he is. Satan has turned it into something like, is that all? He loves me?
Right.
What about what I can get?
Yeah.
Look what he says before. He says, that ye always having all sufficiency in all things may abound to every good work. Abound. Keeps getting more and more.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop. So God's love doesn't just stop. It isn't just sufficient.
Right.
It keeps abounding
Yeah.
to someone else. To someone else. Like Brother Ron would say, how his word doesn't come back void. His word isn't just to be heard, it's to be lived.
Yeah.
And living it is letting God love through you. That's what it is.
That's true.
Because God is love, he's trying to love through us. So, let me read this and then turn over to Hebrews 13, 5 to 6 real quick. I'll read these other verses. We'll finish since I have 50 seconds. Hurry up, Jeffrey. Matthew 6, 31, 33. I'll read that while you go to Hebrews 13, 5 and 6. Chapter 13, verses 5 and 6. Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or wherewithal shall we be clothed?
Right.
For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that you have need of all these things. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. You got it. You got it taken care of. All sufficiency. Hebrews 13, 5 and 6. Let your conversation be without covetousness. That doesn't mean just your voice and your words. It's your whole person.
Right.
It's you letting God work through you. Your conversation needs to be for him. And be content with such things as you have. For he has said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. It's okay. He's got everything covered.
Right.
All sufficient. He's helping you. He's helping me. He's protecting us. And he won't leave us when times get hard.
Right.
He won't leave us when times get good. He just won't leave. How much do we really want? He supplies way past what we could ever think or imagine. And then our old nature says, give me some more. So let our conversation be without covetousness. Let's cut the covetousness. Anybody can get there, anybody can be there. And remember this, we can't serve two masters. You can't play the game back and forth. Because one, you will begin to hate the other. Whoever you're serving, you hate the other one.
Right.
So if you're serving Satan, you're hating God. I don't want to be doing that. None of us. Finally, as we do that, remember I said, all of our decisions, all day, keep the Lord on your mind. Meditate on the Lord. Pray without ceasing. 2 Corinthians 10:5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought.
Right.
To the obedience of Christ. Get our minds lined up with Christ. Have the mind of Christ.
Amen.
That's what we need to do. See, when we're focused on Christ and doing his will, letting him work through us, you're not focused on sin. None of us. And that's why it also means you can't serve both at the same time. So when we're serving God, you're not serving Satan. You're certainly not serving yourself. You're serving somebody else. That is to say, when you love your neighbor as yourself, you're serving your neighbor. That serves God. Godliness first. Godliness first. Contentment. Great name. What more could we really want than the fruit of the Spirit in our lives? You know, we all need to get more focused on how good God is. How good God is. Satan couldn't give you enough to be a pin drop to what God is trying to do in each one of our lives. Not even a pin drop. He is a joke when it comes to giving. See, he doesn't really give.
No.
His system is give with wanting again, so it's not giving. When God gives us, like the free gift of salvation we talked about this morning in Sunday school, it's yours. It's mine. That means he doesn't take it back. It's a gift that's free and done. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, help us be content with what you've given us. Help us not to be focused on things that we don't have. And Lord, help us to line our thoughts up with your Son. Bring our thoughts into obedience of your Son. And to have the mind of your Son. So help us to learn your word, trust your word, meditate on it. And Lord, help us to stay focused. I know this world's a hard place. It's going to get harder. So we certainly need more help than ever. And Lord, please watch over us and protect us. We sure need your protection. We love you and trust you, Lord. Lord, as we end this sermon, Lord, help us to pray and begin to think about what it is you're trying to do. Lord, that during this invitation, that each one of us focus exactly on what it is you're trying to tell us. And Lord, if there's someone in here that the heart isn't convicted, Lord, please right now get in there and convict their heart. And if you're convicting someone else already right now, please, Lord, keep on till they give in and surrender. Whoever it is. And Lord, thank you so much for your word.
Yes,
Thank you that you are the truth and way and life. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand and turn to hymn number 488. 488, just as I am. Just as I am, without complete, but let thy soul was shed for me, and that thou bidst me come to thee, O Lamb of God, I come. Just as I am and waiting on to rid my soul of one dark cloud, to thee whose blood can cleanse each spot, O Lamb of God, I come.
Don't try and wait the song out. That you're waiting for the verses to end so you can get out of the room. That's a mistake. If there's anything going on in your heart, now's that time. Now, I'm not up here because it's the end of the service and we're doing invitation, because we do invitation. If God's working on your heart in any way, shape, or form, you don't have to come up here, but you need to deal with it now. Because the longer you wait it out and reject, you reap what you sow. I reap what I sow. When God comes to us, we need to
take hold of that and agree with it and do it. When you reject it, you have just sown something. And you will grow something you don't want. And you'll be reaping something you didn't know you were reaping. You'll see something come up in your life. God is not playing games.
Right.
He loves us and trusts us, but He is not playing games. When He comes to you, He intends for you to surrender.
Amen.
Finally give in.
Yes.
Take one more verse, please.
Just as I am tossed about with many a conflict, many a doubt, my knees and fears within, without of God I come,
I thank everybody for coming. Really appreciate it. People want to hear the Word of God.
Yes.
He has a lot to say if we listen. Brother Troy, would you dismiss us?
Most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you, God, for your word, which has been proclaimed today. We pray, God, Lord, again,